Good evening, everybody. Good evening. It is time for round 12. And just like yesterday, and just like earlier today, it is I, your lead commentator, Robert Ionescu, and I am joined by Joseph Willows. Though, of course, I'm not the lead commentator for the top class commentary. I am the lead commentator for F2, and Joe is alongside me once again. Welcome, Joe. How are you doing? And I'm hoping for an exciting race today.
I'm doing very well, and yes, hopefully we should be in for an exciting race. Of course, the team's championship could be decided today, but High Tech will need quite a lot of luck as they do need to outscore Dams by 40 points. So basically, first and third. And given where the High Techs are on the grid, going to be a bit of an ask for them to do it here today.
Yeah, indeed. We're here in Oyama at the Fuji Speedway, of course, a very popular racetrack. And now that you mentioned the grid, let's actually go. Let's go to it, shall we? Because we got Ben Fallinger taking his third pole position of the season. Now then, let's take a look at the grid. So here we go. It's a front row lockout for Univirtuosi. Ben Fallinger on pole for the third time. Gabriel Quintino alongside him in P2. Hentos Sinonome is in P3 in front of his home fans. He'll be hoping to put on a good show with Tobias Kress, who's at the exact same time as him in qualifying in P4 in the MP Motorsport.
Von Chanek Shani will start in P5 with Rose Henson in P6. Ruslan Protsiuk, a better qualifying for him in 7th, with Agatina Bavona, also a better qualifying for him in 8th.
Henry Watzel is in P9 with Hummingwen in P10. There is the two Charuzes of Joseph Suta and Alexander Arnold locking out row 6.
Bush Daniel is P13 with Blake Moore, who scored points in Malaysia, in 14th. Gabriel Rico is in 15th with Joantas Martins all the way down in 16th.
Yep, that's right. Then it is his teammate and rival Samer Oskan, followed by Adam Chobot. Reigning champion Aaron Curry is in P19 with Luca Farina P20, and the final two.
Jafari Blackwood way down the order in 21st, and Dennis Graff in 22nd and last.
Good evening, everybody. Shit, the echo. It is time for I forgot to turn off the echo. My goodness. Shut up, me from a minute ago. Did I mute it?
And I'm joined by Joseph Willow. Oops.
I am so sorry about that. That was not something I should. I should have been more careful and muted myself earlier. I forgot to do that completely. But it's time to take a look at the weather.
And it's just cloud cover for the race. No rain expected.
Yep, 41 laps of action, and this should be very entertaining. Who's going to win here at Fuji Speedway? I can't wait to see and find. 41 laps, of course. Track is got 16 corners and one very, very long straight.
That's where we're probably going to be seeing most of the overtaking, and hopefully the bus stop chicane is okay, unlike what we saw with Formula E yesterday. But given what we saw in qualifying at that corner, it should be all okay, given it's a different version. But we'll wait and see.
Yep, indeed, it's a long round down to turn 1 Daiichi, and anything can happen on that round down. So who's going to take the lead once the 5 lights are out? Of course, such a long run disadvantages the guys on the front row because the guys from behind are going to get some tow, and that slipstream can dive down the inside for a pass. And if you remember the 2008 race, Lewis Hamilton dived down the inside of everybody and forced off a lot of people. But should be an entertaining one. Let's see what happens. Here we are then. Ben Waldinger on the left side of the screen, on the right of the grid. His teammate Gabriel Quintino on the other side, who's going to get the best launch and take the lead into Daiichi. 41 laps of action. Waldinger has 18 laps of fuel. And the third to last race is go. Sinonome gets a great launch. Wallinger's got an okay start, same for Quintino, but Ben Wallinger will have the inside. Watch for Sinonome in the slipstream. He's gaining, but he's not gaining enough. Wallinger will hold on to the lead into turn 1. Taking single file the top 3 there, as we have a move there. And for their background, there's a yellow flag. Meanwhile, there's been a collision somewhere. And what's going on here? 3 cars out. Protsuk is out in one of the Grand Prix. And who is that other car? Is that a VAR?
It's Watzel who's the ART out, and the VAR, that is, no, it's not. It's actually Blake Moore, I think. It's a Carlin. It's a Carlin that's out of the race. He said Moore.
Luca Farina tries to get past his teammate. Finally does it, but loses a lot of time. Protsuk's taking a lot of damage, and Blake Moore is also out. Wallinger continues to lead from his teammate.
Make their way down towards the chicane as Rico's on the inside of Arnold, and that's P9 for the Brazilian. A great start for him.
Yep, that's right. He's done very well. And yep. Let's take a look at what happened there.
We've got Rico going into the first corner. I think it's a little bit further in front, and yes, it is, because I saw that Proxy was a little in front. So let's see. So he was trying to go around the outside of the Dams car here, and he gets clipped from behind by Vivona, and then I think that... in fact, a separate accident happens behind involving Watzel and Moore, and unfortunately for Protsiuk, he just couldn't do anything to avoid his front wing being broken.
That's a very bizarre contact, and yeah, Protsiuk was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. It didn't do him any good that he had already spun. This had to pretty much wipe him out. Yeah, unlucky.
Yeah, so basically, given the fact that it now is out on the exit, Moore obviously was trying to do everything he could to avoid it, but ended up swerving into the side of...
And this from Bivona, he just understeered into Protsiuk. I don't really know what else I can say. Look at this. He went for a gap, and Protsiuk left him plenty of space, but Bivona just understeered into him. He didn't want to leave Protsiuk any space, and as a result of that, so many cars had to take damage.
Yeah, indeed, and two cars are already out of the race as a result. As in fact, Oskin's got damage as well somewhere. So the
how did he get that?
Did he collect some debris from that? And yes,
has to be.
Yeah, he collected some debris, I think, and no, it was because he ran into the back of Suto, in fact.
And then he collected debris as well, so he added to the damage. You're gonna have to repair the front and rear wing as Waldinger is extending his advantage just a little bit from Quintino, but now the Brazilian is gonna get a great amount of slipstream onto his teammate on the front straight. It's actually the only straight on this track. Sinonome, meanwhile, is racing side by side with Tobias Kress. Don't forget, there are yellow flags into turn 1. They might get lifted soon, but right now they're in effect. Quintino says the early fastest lap. Kress looks like he will abide by the yellow flag and not overtake Sinonome. Joe China stays behind Curtis as Bivona is being overtaken by Nguyen, who is going to get a 5-second time penalty for that.
Yep, so that will be 5 seconds for him. Luckily, Darius Daniel didn't complete the move there on Arnold, but I think that is 5 seconds for Nguyen. I just think we just need to wait for the confirmation from Flo there.
Yep, Martins is up into 12th. Meanwhile, he's making good progress. As in the meantime, Nguyen is trying to gain another position here.
Let's have a look at this yellow flag overtake just for clarification, and I think it will be because, of course, the yellow flag zone continues just after the corner.
Yeah, clear as day. Got him under braking and 5-second penalty for Nguyen. Then he got past Chow China in a brilliant overtake. Let's see it again. Henson was impeding Chow China. She was rather slow here. Chow China tried to go for the outside, and they just opened the door for Nguyen to overtake him. But Chow China came back in the second part of the corner and reclaimed the position.
Is just on the inside of Bivona.
Very entertaining action into 100 are there. As now Bivona is under a lot of pressure. He holds on to the inside.
As Kress is now putting the home favourite Sinonome under a bit of pressure going through and towards the bus stop chicane. As Arnold on the inside of Rico. That's a very smart move there. And that's been on. And I think Rico could get mugged there by Darius Daniel. And he does. So Daniel now into the points. Or will he? Because Rico's trying to go all the way around the outside here. They're still going to remain side by side, but Daniel has the edge, and that's P10 for the Hungarian.
That was a brilliant attempt at defense from Gabriel Rico, but Alexander Arnold was very aggressive and yet very smart to pull that move off, as you said, Joe. And Rico suffered from that, as the yellow flags have been lifted, which means Tobias Kress is free to overtake Sinonome, and he's trying to do just that here.
Yep, but let's just keep an eye on the straight line speed, because it looked like Sinonome had good straight line speed on the previous lap, and the same story here. Sinonome clearly set up that car perfectly for the straights here.
Darabosh, meanwhile, loses the position to Rico as Nguyen finally makes the move on Chow China. Arnold, meanwhile, very close to running into the back of Bivona there. Running into the side, I should have said. Blackwood is in 15th, meanwhile, as Kress has overtaken Sinonome. Unseen by the cameras. He must have come on the exit of Daiichi. So let's see. Yeah, Sinonome had a poor exit there, very bad run, and Kress just waltzed past him, really. Wasn't too difficult of a move. He tried to come back into the left-hander, but didn't quite have the grip to pull it off.
Indeed, so Kress is now onto the podium as a result, and he'll now try and go after the two Uni Virtuosos if he can, as Nguyen and Keoshani are once again to combat.
Yep, indeed, and it'll be interesting to see what happens on the exit of the hairpin. In towards 300R they go. And in towards the Dunlop chicane. Can Chow China go for the move here? He can, but he won't. He's actually going a little deep here, and that could open up an opportunity for Bavona. No, not quite, but this has allowed the wind to pull away a little bit. So Bavona could be no wait, this is not the bus stop chicane. Sorry, I'm being stupid here. As in towards Net's corner here, Bavona only has Panasonic left to complete this lap, and he needs to set it up. He needs a good exit here, which he does get to set up a move on Chow China. Let's see if he can clear the dams and get himself into what is P7 on track, but in reality will be P6 when you add 5 seconds to Nguyen's time.
And that is P7 for Bavona. He didn't even need to wait for the corners. Meanwhile, Rico's getting back onto Arnold in the back.
Chow China's trying to come back, meanwhile, watch out.
That was close to contact there, but he had to back out. Bavona up into 7th place there. And as mentioned, Rico has reclaimed the place from Arnold, but Arnold is not giving up just yet. He's trying to get back onto him. Not going to work out. Shani, though, also defending inside from Rico, who I thought there just had a bit of oversteer going through into the Coca-Cola corner there, but luckily able to save it. Well, Arnold trying
to go around the outside. This is bold, but it was never going to work, was it?
Oh, definitely not, as they now make their way through into the section of corners now before they make their way down towards the double right-hander now then. Is any of them going to line up and move down into the bus stop? Let's see.
He's going for the outside. He's going to go a little deep, but he doesn't lose the position to the car behind. So he'll be happy with that. Meanwhile, here we have Choba in 14th, as Gabriel Rico has lost touch to Chow China a little bit. So he might be under a lot of pressure from Arnold. Meanwhile, I'm wondering what it's like between two virtuosos, involving at least by 1.3 seconds. He's increased the advantage by 2/10 since we last checked. Kress is further 2.5 seconds down on Quintino. We'll have to see if the German can close that gap up. As here we have Darabosch gaining in the slipstream of Arnold. The thing is, Arnold is also gaining in the slipstream of Gabriel Rico. It looks like Darabosch is gaining much more. And he's going to use that straight line speed advantage to get the move done long before the corner. This could be a disadvantage though, because Arnold could switch back, or is it going to be last or late breakers? It is going to be last or late breakers, and they collide.
Oh dearie me, that did not end well. Arnold survives it, but for Darabosch Daniel...
Darabosch reversed to clear the track for the others. How nice of him.
But unfortunately for him, he's now out of the points as a result.
We have to take a look at that once again.
Oh, Chobot's got damage as a result of that.
Blackwell ran into him.
It looked like there was a concertina effect that happened as a result of all of that, and Blackwood just didn't slow down in time, and he's also got front wing damage as a result.
That's another one of the championship contenders being forced to make an impromptu pit stop, and let's take a look at this once again. Darabosch didn't do anything wrong, really. Arnold turned into him.
Yeah, I think Arnold clearly misjudged that, really. He did give him the space, but clearly misjudged it when trying to turn back into the line there, so unfortunate contact.
And then he overtook off track. Meanwhile, Rico has overtaken Chow China. But yeah, as I was saying with Arnold, lucky he didn't get any damage, but he caused one hell of a mess.
Yep, and well, that's pretty much that. But Rico up into 8th place now, getting in front of KO Shane as both Chobot and Blackwood making it back in the pits as all the two VAR cars make contact there. Luckily, it didn't end in disaster.
What the heck was that? My goodness.
Rule 1, never hit your teammate. Meanwhile, Curtis is going side by side with Dennis Graff, meanwhile.
Yep, Graff has the advantage though, and he holds on to the position. As we have the pit call for Jafari Blackwood, of course, and for the VAR of not Daniel Darabosch, of Adam Chobot. What the heck was up with that collision? Darabosch involved in 2 incidents in a single lap, though admittedly the first one wasn't his fault.
Indeed, as those two are making their way back to the pits, but meanwhile Graff again having to defend because Curtis is going to try and get back onto the prowl of him.
Let's see, I don't think there's much Graff can do, other than just hope they gave him a low enough wings to get that good straight line speed, which doesn't appear to be the case. Curtis is side by side with him, and it's going to be who is last on the late breakers. There looks like Graff's straight line speed is a touch better. Curtis is going to have to go deeper into the corner, and he doesn't risk it. Stays behind, but he's getting a great traction on exit. And can he get him in towards Coca-Cola? No, he can't. Just doesn't have the room.
has to stay back for the moment as it's still under a second between the two uni virtuosos. As Curtis trying to go all the way and around the outside through the 100R there, and Graf just able to keep the door shut there as Oscar now sets the fastest lap, so he now holds on to the 2 bonus points for the fastest lap of the race. But at the moment, High-Tech will not win the team's title. It was going to be an ask for them anyway, but at the moment they will not.
Clearly
win.
not going to happen. Not today.
Go into the next race, which is of course the last voted track of the season, and of course we will be revealing that after the race, and specifically after the national anthems are played.
Indeed, and don't bother asking us because not even we know. So you'd be beating a dead horse. And we're still on board with Curtis, chasing after Dennis Graf. Meanwhile, we have another battle here. Bivona has been caught by Gabriel Rico, who is making progress after some early argy-bargies earlier on in the race. But here he goes, taking P7, which is technically P6 when you factor in that Nguyen has a penalty, but he has to overtake him as well. And he gets that move down on Bivona, nice and easy, into the braking zone.
P7 for him. He's now in as a result, a Premier sandwich on track, that is, because as Rob mentioned, of course, Nguyen does have that penalty. Again, Curtis just doesn't seem to have the straight line speed compared to Dennis Graf. So clearly
he's pulling out the slipstream far too early, that's the problem.
Potentially, but also you could factor in that clearly the car is just not set up correctly on the straight compared to Dennis Graf's Campos. But anyway, Curtis will try again around the outside through into 100R, but again he's just too far back, and Graf as a result able to hang on again.
Yeah, indeed, Graf positioning his car well, just not leaving Curtis any space to go and make that move, and he's perfectly entitled to do that as Quintino has lost some ground to Wallinger. The gap just jumped up to 1.5 seconds, 8 tenths earlier. As here goes Curtis into the chicane. No, just doesn't have the space. Great defending from Graf as of right now. Meanwhile, Sonome has been caught up by Rose Hansen, who is going to try to get the move and maybe aim for a second podium in a row. And here goes the American driver, gaining in the slipstream of Sonome, who is moving to try to defend, but I don't think he can fight this one on the straight. It's going to come down to who's last of the late breakers. Hansen and Sonome side by side onto lap 8. Here we go. And who's going to be ahead? Hansen takes the position before the corner, and Sonome doesn't really bar to fight back. Meanwhile, Rico overtakes Nguyen as well to get himself legitimately into P6. I mean, not legitimately, I mean on track as well. Curtis, meanwhile, is fighting Graf, but Rico completes the move on Nguyen.
Yep, that's P6 for him. He's having a good race so far. Curtis again trying to attack Graf into the first corner, but again, the lack of straight line speed clearly hurting the Irishman at this stage. As Cyrano not going up yet on Henson. Same goes with Nguyen on Rico on track.
This is a 4-car battle right now for P4, and Hansen needs to clear these guys quick because she's got the pace, but she can't use that if Sonome gets back in front of her. So she needs to be judicious. As Sonome is going to try to go for the move here into the chicane, goes a little bit deep, and this has cost him a lot. This is exactly what Hansen needed to pull away, as she'll be able to increase her advantage a little bit. Rico lost some time a little bit, so he won't be able to attack Sonome. But here goes Curtis on the attack of Graf. He's going to send it this time, and then he thinks better of it. Darabosh has joined the party as well in the fight for 13th.
Indeed, and obviously looking to make up for lost time after that collision with Alexander Arnold a little bit earlier on. But anyway, back to this train of cars as now Rico is about to attack Sinanone for 5th.
Rico is having an amazing charge up the field so far, I have to admit. He was in 11th not too long ago, and now he's going to take 5th.
Just an amazing camera angle here of just how much straight line speed Rico has got on the inside into the first corner, and he gets the move done. I thought for a minute there was going to be contact, but luckily not. Rico up into 5th.
Yeah, Sonome yielded at the last moment. He realized this wasn't the fight and backed out at the last minute to avoid the collision when he realized he had been beaten. So very fair play there for the Japanese driver, as now Curtis is getting a brilliant exit from turn 1. Is this it to get past Graf? Yes, it is. But Graf will have a chance to fight back. He has the inside for turn 3, so let's be careful here. No, Curtis has completed the move. Well done.
Finally getting the move done, and now it's Darabosh Daniel's turn to now attack Dennis Graf for P14. As mentioned, he's trying to make up for lost time after that collision with Dennis's fellow compatriot Alexander Arnold at the first corner. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly Daniel can dispose of Graf, but we'll wait and see.
I don't think he wants to take very long at all. He's gonna go for it into the chicane. He's gonna send down the inside of Graf. Can he make the position here? Almost running into the back of him, but he can't overtake. Meanwhile, Curtis is pulling away from these guys. He's already got over half a second on Graf, so he won't be under attack in the, I would say, DRS zone, but don't really have DRS on these cars. Grand Prix 4 was made long before DRS. We're on the main straight, of course. Here
Good,
goes Nguyen.
meanwhile-
Meanwhile, he's overtaking Sonome for track position. But of course, you need to pull 5 seconds on him, and he's not overtaking him actually because Sonome has very nice speed on him and keeps in front.
While they were side by side going on there, that's Martins getting into the points. Oskin's closest rival, and Martins up into 10th place. All the points really matters for Martins in this championship.
How many points is he down on his teammate again? Let me check.
He's 11
As
points
hasn't
behind,
been-
so at the moment he'll be 10 points behind if he stays like this. And the Nguyen has finally got the move done on track on Sinanome.
Yeah, indeed. I just needs to pull the 5 seconds.
And Martins has officially completed the pass on Arnold. So the more places he gains, the more he will gain on his teammate Oskin in the championship. And I should point out as well, because
Oskin has 2 points for the fastest lap.
I might as well mention this as well, because I never mentioned this in the news videos. I probably should have done when I had my Mac trouble, but I would have mentioned it during then. So I might as well mention it now. Martins is also in contention for a top class seat. Which one? Is Aston Martin he's in contention with, the same one as Curtis. So yeah, if he manages to win the championship, who knows really? Maybe we could see Martins in the top class next season.
Well, Martins definitely is an underdog because his season didn't really get anywhere until the second half, until they went in Austria. He struggled a lot in the first half of the season, but he's been brilliant in the second half so far. And that could propel a late charge, just like Matteo Katan did in Formula E when he to get a seat. And what if Martins gets the seat? That would be quite something.
Indeed. So, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what Martins is doing because he has been on a very good run of form in the last few races, especially picking off points off of his own teammate Oskin. And, well, the high tech's showing how brilliant they've been this season, given that both cars have been able to score very high points throughout the season. And, well, Martins definitely coming into this right at the end of the season.
Yeah, well said. Meanwhile, Darabosh is facing the same issues Curtis faced when trying to overtake Graf. Not anymore, though. He's got him on the brakes. I think Graf a little tentative there, but Darabosh has taken the position. Let's see again. It looks like Graf locked up here.
Double lock-up into the first corner there, but either way, Daniel left his braking far too late into the corner and managed to get it worked out. As Arnold still not giving up on Martins yet. He tried to look on the outside, but didn't quite work out. But Martins is now close to the back of the ninth place driver, which I can't remember who that was. It actually went
China.
China, yes, the 2019 Indy 500. Meanwhile, Rico continuing his charge. He's now on the back of Henson.
I wagered to say Rico might be the fastest car on track.
Perhaps, but we don't know, of course. I mean, Valdinger, I think, still got the fastest lap, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Oscar has it.
Rico has it, actually, as you can see.
Rico's taken it. So he is the fastest car on track after all. He's going to use that pace to try to overtake Rose Henson. He's running a little close to her gearbox, though, so he pulls out of the slipstream early. He's going to need to get down on the brakes.
Side by side going down the straight now. Then looks like Henson's got better straight line speed than what Rico has. Although if Rico can be last of the breakers, we'll see. But he's not. It looks like Henson left the braking there. In fact, Rico making a similar error to what his teammate did and having a bit of a lock-up going through into the first corner. He even had better traction going out the first corner. Because
much like smaller than Graf's lock-up, though.
I mean, despite the lock-up, he still had better traction than
China has been overtaken and Martins is up into 9th place. Sorry to interrupt, Joe.
So we'll now be 9 points behind Oskin if it were to remain like this, and that's another brilliant move from the Brazilian.
Yeah, indeed. China couldn't really answer to that, really. Just a good attack, but he's trying to answer back to it, and he's going to try to retake that position. He's going very wide here into 100R. Into the hairpin, can he send it? No, he can't. Martins retains the position.
As I think Martins will now be able to get away a little bit, as I think Shani will need to watch his moves with Alexander Arnold behind, but we will see.
He is fueled quite heavily, 15 laps. He'll pit around lap 24, I dare wager, so that'll be interesting to see what happens. Now Henson is under a lot of pressure from Rico behind.
Indeed so, and just want to check actually with Valdinger at the moment, because of course he's currently leading the race, and I mentioned that Martins would close up on Oskin, but I've just worked out if it were to stay like this, Valdinger would actually be tied with Oskin in the championship, and because both of them have got a win apiece, Oskin would be ahead of him on a countback of 2nd place, so at the moment it would actually be a tie at the top if it would stay like this.
Wow, that came out of nowhere. I didn't realize Valdinger was 25 points away, but if he can win this, that will be great for him.
Well, Arnold on the inside of K.O. Shane, and he looks like he's going to get the final points place off him, and he does. Arnold back into the points. So, yep, oh, Rico's got him. Rico's got him.
Yeah, how did he do that? Must have been on the X of Daiichi.
again, the traction really working well for Rico out of that corner, and that's P4 for the Brazilian.
Yeah, great stuff. Next target for him. A little bit further up the road is Tobias Kress.
Let's see if he's able to gain. He will need to work a little bit hard if he wants to get onto the back of the German. As meanwhile, Kirishani's still not giving up on Arnold after that overtake. And look at that! That's brilliant from the Thai driver.
Absolutely amazing. Arnold was struggling there mid-corner and China took full advantage of that.
Now even Arnold's teammate, Jose Frederic Suto, is starting to close onto these two as well. So it looks like the two Charuzas will look to try and hound the Dam's car.
Yep, indeed. Meanwhile, Nguyen is trying to gain onto the back of Rose Henson for what is P5 on track. As Rico is pulling away from the American driver just a little bit, will she be able to attack him back? No, I don't think so. I think he's got a safe gap, and he can focus on chasing after Kress. You can see him there in front, look, and the gap is 5.7 seconds. We will get an update once Rico crosses the line, and let's see how much he is gaining, if at all.
Last time around it was 5.7. Let's have a look as he now crosses the line now then, and it's down to 5.6. So he only took a tenth out of him that time by.
Yeah, but the last sector is pretty short, so I wouldn't have been surprised. Arnold, meanwhile, is making the move on China to try to get back into the points. And the brakes, and he's got him.
That's P10 again for the German, or is it? Because Kirishani is trying to get him back on traction, and they're going to remain side by side going through into the
counterattack.
Again, Kirishani still being a nightmare for Arnold in this race.
He's struggling for pace at the moment, but his racecraft is sensational.
So Arnold trying to go all the way around the outside of the 100R didn't work out, as Kirishani was just able to cover off the inside going into hairpin there.
Yeah, indeed. Brilliant racecraft from the Thai driver. And this is helping just for Suto get closer to a pair of them. But is Arnold going to try something into the bus stop chicane into Dunlop? No, he's not close enough. He doesn't even think of a move.
Meanwhile, the gap up front, 3.2 seconds going the Univirtuosi, so Valdinger still
Rico is 5.2 behind Kress, meanwhile. He's gained 0.4 of a second.
So he's continuing to gain, but he's still quite a far back from the German at the moment, as now, once again, the Charuzas will try and help Kirishani down the straight.
Yep, indeed. One Charuz much, much closer. And here goes that Charuz of Alexander Arnold. These two guys, their battle has been very entertaining because we've seen so much action. First with China making an amazing overtake at 100R and then making that repass. Will he do another repass or will Arnold make it stick this time around? Arnold gets the move down into turn 1, and on exit it's a little poor, and China tries to do it again, but Arnold's got it covered. Then this time Arnold takes P10, and I think he's going to hold on to it.
Let's not forget, Kirishani did get him back a couple of laps ago through into the 100R. Let's see if the same is going to happen on this occasion. He thought about it. He's going to look to the inside into hairpin, but Arnold has it covered off this time by, and Kirishani will now need to watch his mirrors from Arnold's teammate, Suto.
He may not have the pace today, but I have to commend him. He's been fighting extremely hard today, and he's been like a lion. But unfortunately, the lack of pace means these people will get past you eventually. But China has done very well to defend for himself.
As indeed, as we look now at Quintino, in fact, has gained a little bit on Valdinger on this occasion. Took 2 tenths out of him.
What's the fuel difference between the pair of them, I wonder? It's actually quite... It's the same, but Valdinger will pit now. It's an early stop. I didn't think people would pit this early on.
Either way, the mandatory pit stops will be beginning at this lap, as will Kress. He's also pitting this lap, so we're going to be seeing...
Henson is fueled quite heavy then. She's got 6 more laps in the wagon.
But 2 of the top 3 drivers will be coming into the pits this time by.
Yep, and I think Rico will pit the lap after that. I saw he had 9 laps left. But pitting with 8 laps of fuel left in the tank, that is bizarre. I've seen it before, but rarely.
Well, it looks like Curtis will soon be coming under attack from Daniel, and in fact he was actually defending the inside going into turn 1, so maybe starting to feel the pressure from the Hungarian driver.
I fear that some of these guys could be given a 2-stop fuel. I really, really hope that's not the case.
Well, it's only happened once this season at
Dijon. That was only because of the high lap count.
Yes, indeed. But, of course, this is not a high lap count, so I don't imagine we'll see 2 stops in this race, but we'll see as we're about to find out because Valdinger is about to pull to the right and go into the pits.
Yeah, the race leader He's done well controlling the race from the front, but now he's going to hand the lead to his teammate Gabriel Quintino temporarily. Quintino expected to come in next lap.
He's now pulling into his box. Let's just keep an eye on his def panel anyway, just to be sure. As that's 28 laps of fuel. So yeah, he's going to the end of the race, so no need to worry.
Yeah, good. 7.8 seconds stop. What will Kress have? It looks like we got a move there, Martins.
Martin's having a go at Bavona here as they go side by side down towards the first corner. Bavona at the same time was also trying to gain on Synonym in front, but Martin's through on the inside, and that's P6 for him. But will Bavona get him back on traction?
Textbook.
Indeed, as it looks like Keoshane is now having to defend from Suto. Kress, meanwhile, we joined in 12th position, whereas Valdinger we joined in 8th, just in front of Arnold.
Yep, indeed, as now Darabosh makes the move on Aaron Curtis. He's gone past him, up in the 13th place. Is Curtis going to try to fight back? He is, but is he going to succeed? No. Having said that, though, Finks of a little look into Coca-Cola, but the inside there is a little tricky. As we do have confirmation that Quintino will come in this lap, I just saw it flashing red on Valdinger's def panel. Devona, meanwhile, almost runs into the back of Martins, goes wide, and my goodness, we came very, very close to a big accident there.
Speaking of Martins, his teammate Oskin will be pitting at the end of this lap, so it will obviously be for his second stop because, of course, he got damage early on in the race.
Yep, indeed. Yep, Gabriel Rico, meanwhile, is he coming in this lap or will he go one lap longer? I'm not quite sure. As you have Bavona, who's been... Martins is on the charts. Sinonome is the next car he's targeting, but what is Martins' fuel load like?
But Rico is into the pits as well, so both the Gabriels in this lap as Rico pulls in whilst Quintino's just finished his pit stop. Where is he going to emerge? Let's see.
Can he gain on Valdinger? Gap was 3 seconds last time we checked, and is definitely in the same ballpark as Suto has just overtaken Jojanet on the straight. It's definitely less than 3 seconds. The overcut could be a little stronger as Kress. Gabriel Rico joined just behind Tobias Kress. My goodness.
So
a few minutes ago, you were 5 seconds down. Look how much he's gained. Rico could be a contender for the race win.
Maybe not the race, maybe a podium. It all really depends on really how quickly you can get by on Kress. But meanwhile, the two Uni Virtuosis are 5th and 7th at the moment.
Suto will come in this lap as Arnold appears to be pressuring Valdinger.
He is indeed. So two sandwiches going on here. We've got a Uni Virtuosi sandwich and a Charoux sandwich going on here at this point in time, with both Charouxes harrying the two Uni Virtuosis at the moment.
The overcut is clearly stronger. The guys who have already pitted and are on heavy fuel loads are being hounded down by the guys who haven't.
Yep, indeed. As meanwhile, you mentioned Suto's coming in at the end of this lap. Arnold's going to stay out for a little bit longer, and he could even overtake Valdinger here.
Yeah, he's going to go for a move on the pole sitter. As Rose Hansen and Juan Quinn are going to try to make a big box out of this with a big overcut on everyone. And Valdinger, with so much fuel in the car, he's a sailing duck on the straight.
As it goes side by side down the straight, he's still got the straight line speed to Arnold, but given that Arnold pulled out quite a bit late, or in fact, contact!
What are you doing, Arnold? What are you doing? He's just spun the race leader, who's now no longer the race leader virtually. At least he didn't take any damage, but that is a big knock to Ben Valdinger's chances of winning this race, as Gabriel Quintino takes what is the virtual race lead, and he overtakes Arnold. Arnold being naughty today, it's not the first time he's collided with somebody.
Indeed, he should have really backed out of that when he saw that Valdinger was obviously, basically had the corner ready. He obviously broke a lot later than Arnold did, and he was entitled there. So I have no idea what Arnold was thinking there. As
a result of that, Samet Özkan is projected to remain the sole leader of the championship after this race.
Indeed. So when it looked like that Valdinger could actually tie with Özkan in the championship, it looks like Valdinger will just be a few points behind him if it stays like this.
I don't think Quintino will play ball and let his teammate past. I think Valdinger's going to have to get the move down on track if he wants to overtake his teammate.
Indeed so, as Arnold now back on the prowl of Quintino yet again, and hopefully he doesn't cause the same issue with the other Uni Virtuosi. He's actually staying out for a little bit longer, is Arnold. He's not pitting yet.
Yeah, Arnold being very, very aggressive today. And he was smart with a move he pulled off earlier, but that aggressiveness has reached a boiling point, I think. Now he's overtaking Uni Virtuosi. I think Quintino has seen with his own eyes what happened. And he's trying to be a little more cautious. Got yellow. at the hairpin. It's for Ruslan Protic, who is out of a technical problem, but what has he got?
We'll have to see, but Arnold wasn't able to get the move done on Quintino. It looks like, I think there was smoke coming out of the back, so I think it might be engine related. No, it isn't engine related. It's some other mechanical failure. Let's see what it is. It is an engine problem, in fact. So I was right the first time. It just didn't look like there was any smoke.
Not the first time he's retired of an engine failure. It happened the same at Portimao. Ruslan Protic once again. The season started off so strong with those 2 podiums, the first 2 races. Ever since then, it's just been disappointing. And that disappointment continues in as, the AlphaTauri test driver retires in a puff of smoke.
Yep, Martins, meanwhile, has been into the pits. Let's see where he's going to emerge after the pit stop now then.
Rikovic Press, we have a battle going on for what will be third. As Arnold is going into 100 around the outside of Quintino, just doesn't have the gap.
No, Martins, meanwhile, he joined in 12th after that pit stop, as meanwhile Kress is now all over the back of Bush Daniel.
Who has not pitted, of course, let's not forget.
As Rico looking to take full advantage of that and try and see if he can get by on Kress as well, as he's currently being held up by Daniel. Confirmation that Protsuk is out of the race here. Just saw a brief glimpse of the graphic down below.
We've seen again, as now Kress is lost a little bit of touch to Rico. Rico is going to try something. No, he's not going to try it. He's sitting nicely behind. Curtis is getting a little closer too. Curtis hasn't pitted yet, of course, as now Quintino still under pressure from Arnold. I think he's begging for this guy to pit and just leave him alone.
Indeed, as we come down the straight now, then is Arnold going to try and go for a move again on Quintino? Let's see. He's going to look to the inside, going down at the pit straight now. Then, as Bavona, meanwhile, is just coming to the pits for Prema. Across the line they go. And he is pitting this lap this time by, and then let's hope they can keep it clean, and they do, thankfully. And luckily for Quintino, he will not have to worry about him too much because he's coming into the pits at the end of this lap.
Because we're taking Kress on the straight, but Kress is going to try to fight back into the braking zone. And they've collided. Oh no, Gabriel Rico is looking so good today, but Tobias Kress has just taken everything away from him.
A shame for Rico there, clearly. Leaving his braking far too late, and Rico now having to wait for a gap in the traffic before getting going again, which is now.
He had the pace to win this race, but Tobias Kress had other ideas.
Meanwhile, Arnold again all over the back of Quintino, but Quintino doesn't need to worry too much because Arnold is coming into the pits at the end of this lap.
Heartbreak for Gabriel Rico there. He was looking so good.
As now they make their way through into these section of corners, coming up towards the next corner now then, the penultimate corner on the track, as for some reason this long sweeping right-hander is not classed as a corner, but
lots
this
of pit
part
calls.
is... Ooh, lock up for
big
Quintino
lock up.
there.
Yeah, indeed.
Anyway, Arnold will peel to the right very, very soon to come into the pits. He's going to go to the inside of Quintino, not like it matters anyway, because he'll be peeling off to the right soon, which he does. So into the pits comes Alexander Arnold in the Charoons.
Yep, indeed. In goes the German driver. And Germans have caused a lot of fuss here today, I have to say.
Yeah, indeed. Apart from Graf, of course, who seems to be the odd one out at the moment. But anyway, Bush Daniel also into the pits as well for VAR. So is Keo Shane, who's having to wait for Arnold to go by.
He had a 5.8 second stop, but we had to add to that time.
And Arnold rejoined in 11th. Keo Shane just behind Arnold's teammate Suto.
Rico is in 14th. I think he can still pick up some points. I'll have to wait and see.
Rafa's just finished his pit stop. I think he will emerge in 17th. Henson will be coming into the pits this lap, so we'll see where they emerge after the pit stops.
Yeah, she's currently being impeded by Adam Chobot, but that doesn't matter because the American driver is coming in just a few corners time.
The final turn goes Henson, and Henson will now pull over to the right to go into the pits.
Yep, where are they gonna emerge? I'm not sure. Hummingwen will inherit the... No, he will not inherit the lead because he's coming in also.
Nguyen also into the pits. Quintino will now inherit the lead as a result. So the top two, temporary top two, now into the pits. Let's see how quick the stop is going to be for Rose Henson.
With the Orcat being so strong, she'll have fresher tires. This could be an opportunity to make a charge. 22 laps of fuel. And what's the stop like for the Triton driver? 7.8. Wallinger goes through as well.
Nguyen having to wait for
7.1, but we'll wait. Not too long. 7.1. Not too bad after all. And Hansen will emerge in 5th place, just behind. Who is that in front?
It's their own teammate, but he's pitting at the end of this lap, so Hunter won't have to worry about being held up by the teammate. As Farina now into the pits for ART Grand Prix, but he's way down the field. Of course, because
Yeah,
he took damage
unfortunately.
early on. So,
Yep.
5.6 seconds, a very quick stop for the ART Grand Prix mechanics there, but not like it's going to matter anyway. I don't think Farina is going to be picking up any points today.
Unfortunately not. What about Oskan? He is way off as well.
He rejoins in 17th position, just in front of Oskin, in fact, as Oskin tried to get him back on traction coming out through turn 2 there, but not going to work out, so he has to remain behind him for the moment.
Yep, meanwhile Quintino has a 5.8 second advantage over Vallinger, was 5.7 earlier, just updated. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on the battle between the virtuosos. Vallinger was faster in the first stint, of course, but now Quintino has 1 lap fresher tires, so if he can hold on to the lead. He was gifted the lead, sure, by Alexander Arnold hitting his teammate, but now that he has the lead, he's going to try his best to hold on to it and take the win home.
And look who's up in 5th place, by the way. That is Joantis Martins, I think. Well, will be 5th when Curtis comes in, which he has done. But Martins up into 5th position, so he's gained quite a lot during these pit stop stages. And, well, that would mean he would be 1 point behind Oskin if it were to stay like this.
You're right, actually, yeah.
So
Vallinger, even if he doesn't win the race, with 2nd place, he'll gain plenty of points still on Oskan. As now Chao Chan is being overtaken by Gabriel Rico, who is a man possessed by rage right now. He is fuming and he is pushing. He's fueled by that anger and he wants to get points. He wants to get as many as he can because this man had the pace to win today. Chris had our ideas.
Oskin, meanwhile, on the inside of Farina, there should be an easy move for the championship leader, and it is because Farina locks up into the first corner there. So that's P17 for Oskin, who is currently the championship leader. But if Martins can actually close up onto Hansen and get 4th place off of the Trident driver, he will take the lead in the championship.
Yeah, it'll be an incredible drive for Martins given where he started.
Which was way down in 16th position. He's
Blackwood's
gained
gonna come in this lap.
Yep, as Suto currently into the points at the moment, as Rico will want to try and get that points place off of him.
Yep, indeed. Let's see how difficult the Slovak will be to overtake. Well, he is not going to have to worry about being overtaken for just a little longer because Rico is not close enough as of right now. He's not within the 1 second window just yet.
Meanwhile, Suto's teammate in front, Alexander Arnold, is starting to close in on Senonome in front for the battle for 8th position, just in front of them. But at the moment, he's not close enough to go for an overtake at this stage, still way far back from the Japanese driver at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. Blackwood into the pits for the 2nd time. Of course, he took damage earlier on, so this is his 2nd stop, and he was gaining great momentum in the championship, but that has come to a halt today. He'll be thankful though, because Oskan is not scoring any points either.
No, definitely not, but Martins will be, and, well, if Martins takes the lead in the championship, then Blackwell will start to lose ground to him.
Yeah, that is true, but there's nothing Blackwood can do about that at the moment, I'm afraid.
Meanwhile, Arnold has got by Sinonome. He's got by Sinonome somewhere on the camera because contact's been made.
Sinonome hits him and spins round, and this is a dangerous position. Rico goes through, so does Chauchanet, but the home favorite, once again, after a good qualifying session, has a bad race, and he hits the wall, doesn't take damage, but my, he ran into the back of Arnold. Arnold once again involved in an incident, but this time it wasn't his fault. Through goes Grafen, Oskan, and Farina, but Hento Sinonome has dropped at the back. He's cost himself points today with that. He was too aggressive into the bus stop chicane, and yeah, I'm afraid it's cost him.
Yeah, that's all on Sinonome that time by. I know that Arnold's been an aggressive driver today, but I think that's all on him. He just left his braking far too late. I know that Arnold moved across a little bit there, but yeah, Sinonome...
Arnold did nothing wrong this time.
Yeah, Sinonome just left his braking far too late there.
Yeah, and then he hit the wall again. Clearly not being happy today. His race pace was pretty terrible, I'm afraid.
So, as meanwhile...
Gabriel Rico is back into the points meanwhile. With 15 laps to go, let's see what he can do, how many places he can gain.
Meanwhile, Contino is actually pulling away from Valding, and the gap 6 seconds between the pair of them now then. So, yeah, so...
Hansen has caught up to Kress.
Henson has, but I presume Henson is also potentially dragging Martins, perhaps? I'm not sure.
Could be the case. Well, we're gonna have to wait and see. There we go.
And
Henson is gaining onto Tobias Crest. Where are they gonna make the move? Here she goes around the outside, switching to the inside. No, staying on the outside, going deep, cut and losing time here. Crest is gonna pull away. Mars is gonna get that much closer. Mars might have a shot onto the straight if he's close enough on the exit of Panasonic.
indeed so, but Henson losing quite a lot of time just coming out of the bus stop chicane there. So
you do not want to go for a move around the outside of Dunlop. You're going to lose a heap of time, and Henson has proven that. She's going to gain in the slipstream, but nowhere near enough to overtake Cress.
Yeah, indeed. As they come down the straight now, then.
Where is Martins, in fact? How much closer has he gotten?
Last time it was around 1.1 seconds, the gap. It's now 0.8, as you can see. So
Cress felt the need to go defensive, even though Henson was miles back. This is compromised his exit. You can see just how much closer the Giant has gotten. And towards Coca-Cola, though, Cress goes defensive again. He's costing himself lap time like this, trying to go for defensive move where he doesn't need to defend, as now Henson's gonna go around the outside 100R. Cress shuts the door there. There was no space anyway.
Yep, as they make their way through into the left-hander, and now Martins is right with them, as you can see in the mirrors of Henson.
Yeah, indeed. And who's gonna go for the attack first? Who's gonna blink in this Mexican standoff? Henson goes for the outside again. But this time doesn't lose nowhere near as much time, and looks like Nguyen is in the fight too.
Let's not forget Nguyen has that 5-second time penalty, so even if he gets by those lot...
Here goes Rico.
So we go at Suto there, didn't work out, so he's maybe going to have to wait for the pit straight to get the move done. But here is the battle for third, meanwhile.
And it's quite a battle. Hua Mingwen is joining it as well, even if he's not legitimately in it. He seems to have good pace in the second stint.
As they come down the straight now, and Henson on the inside of Cress. Is Henson going to get the move done? Look at that. Look at the straight line speed Henson's got. It's already going to be P3 for the American. Can Cress cut back into the slipstream and try and get Henson back into the first corner? I don't think he does, because he doesn't really have the straight line speed, so that's P3 for Rose Henson.
Yeah, and stuff, but let's see on the exit of turn 1 if Cress can do anything to fight back. I think Henson's done enough to be in front. Yeah, they got him.
Well, Rico on the inside of Suto into the first corner, and that's moved on for Rico. That's P9 for the Brazilian, and he's definitely seeing red in his eyes.
Absolutely right. I think every pore of his body is filled with rage. I think he's going to turn Super Saiyan now and overtake a whole bunch of people. As Tobias Cress hasn't given up yet on Rose Henson. He's going to try to get a move done and retake that position. Henson hasn't been able to pull away just yet. Cress is going to go for it into the chicane. Ooh, a little bit of a slip for Henson there, just a little slide. It keeps Cress in the running though. He will have a shot on the front straight if he can hook up Sector 3 nicely. Meanwhile, Contino extends his advantage by 3/10 to Ben Wallinger.
Just saw Nguyen was all over the back of Martins, meanwhile, so we could be seeing an overtake from Nguyen quite soon.
Henson's not safe just yet. Cress will have an opportunity.
I think Cress is a little bit far back, to be honest, but Nguyen I don't think is on Martins, is he, or is he? I'm not too sure, but I think he's just been able to grab his slipstream there, so let's see if Nguyen can get him on track at least.
Look at the straight line speed differential there. I mean, should be able to easily get him. And yeah, there we go, nice and clean. I think Martins knows not to take too many risks with these guys. He knows he can't. He has an open goal. We're also not scoring any points. He can't afford to throw these points away and have a petty crash. So he's being very cautious.
As he makes his way through the 100, I think he just had a little bit of a twitch there. In fact, meanwhile, Nguyen is already now onto the back of Cress. On track, that is, of course, because let's not forget, Nguyen does have that 5-second time penalty for overtaking under yellow flags early on.
I think he's really wanting to hunt down Henson.
As they make their way into the bus stop chicane now, then Cress going a little bit defensive through into Dunlop there, through into the left and then into the right before making their way towards the section of corners now, then through into turn 13 we go, through 14 and then into the next corner 15. And so going up towards the final turn we go, and I think Nguyen is going to get a run on Cress down the pit straight.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Wallinger gained 2/10 on his teammate. So that's something to keep an eye on. as Nguyen is gaining in the slipstream. He's going to put on the slipstream very early and try to get past Tobias Kress.
As he's on the inside now then of Kress, he's looking like he's just got about the overlap on him. He's just got enough straight line speed compared to Kress. As they go down towards the first corner, is Nguyen going to get Kress on track into the first corner? And yes, he is. That's P4 for the Vietnamese driver, on track at least. But let's see if he's going to be able to pull that 5 seconds. And let's see if he can also gain onto Rose Henson in front.
I think he needs to hope now that Kress impedes Martin, so he can get 5 seconds on Martins at least. Because Martin seems to have good pace.
Indeed, is that. Whoa, speaking of which, he's on the inside of Kress.
That is an incredible move from Jonatas Martins. Absolutely incredible. Around the outside 100R, so close to the grass. And this is overtake of the race. Overtake of the season, perhaps? Jonatas Martins is the title contender, and this is why he is one. I told you earlier he was not taking too many risks, but he saw an opening to do something brilliant, and something brilliant he did.
It was a fantastic move there from the Brazilian. Can he now try and gain onto Nguyen in front, who obviously overtook him earlier on? We'll have to wait.
He doesn't need to. Nguyen has a penalty.
Oh, yes, of course. But he'll need to try and keep up with him if he can, though, because, of course, let's not forget, with it as a result, because at the moment, Nguyen does need to pull 5 seconds to officially get.
Martin's going to take the lead by 1 point.
See, well, Martins, at the moment, thanks to Nguyen's penalty, will take the lead in the Drivers' Championship if it stays like this.
So we got 3 cars here. We don't know quite for sure the pace. Henson, Nguyen, and Martins. Who's the fastest out of the 3 of them? I wager say it's Nguyen, but how much quicker? Can he gain on Henson in the last sector? No, actually. I think Henson could be a little bit faster, but Nguyen is only 15 thousandths of his personal best on that last lap, so he is pushing.
He is indeed, as they now make their way towards the very quick Coca-Cola corner now, then through into turn 3, and then they'll come up towards the 100R very, very soon.
Indeed. We'll get an update on the sector split very soon, as Martins has actually gained 4/10 of a second there. So I think the debate might have been settled, and Nguyen is actually the slowest of these 3 at the moment.
We'll see as they make their way through into the double right-hander now then.
Quintino's put 4/10, he's responding to Wallinger. He's put 4/10 on his head there, 6.4 the gap.
Yep, as it's 0.6 as mentioned between Nguyen and Martins now. So Martins is definitely closing back into the slipstream of the Vietnamese driver. But
he's going to get an opportunity on the main straight, isn't he?
Well, he did lose a little bit there in that sector, so he might need to work a little bit harder.
Here goes Bosch against Zhao China for 11th place.
That's coming around the final turn, and I don't think Martins is close enough on this occasion, so maybe I'll have to wait on the next lap.
Who knows, really?
Make their way onto the straight. There's still 10 laps to go in this race for Gabriel Quintino to potentially take what would be his 2nd victory of the season. He's already had a victory this season, I think. Yes, or has he? Yes, he has at the Czech Republic race, isn't it? So
yeah, you want a Bruno.
Or have I read? No, I read that wrong. You actually won at Monza. I do apologise.
Oh, yeah,
Monza. So yeah, it will be the 2nd victory of the season. We'll say like this. Meanwhile, Daniel on the inside of Kerichane, and that is the move done for him. That's P11 for the Hungarian, unless Kerichane can get him back on. Unless he can get him back on traction, but I don't think he will. I think Daniel's just got the edge, so that's P11 for the Hungarian.
Yep, it is. Yep, it is. Meanwhile, Gabriel Rico is in P8 as Martins has caught Nguyen. And where is he going to pass Nguyen? Is he going to go for it into Dunlop? He is going to go for it into Dunlop. But he has to back out.
So not taking too many risks there, but letting Nguyen know he's right there. Of course, he doesn't need to pass him, of course, because of Nguyen's 5-second time penalty. But I think knowing Martins, he'll want to try and get it legitimately on track rather than do it via a penalty.
Not just that, though, because Nguyen is holding him up. And if he's being held up, he can't chase after Henson. Martins can legitimately finish on the podium today if he catches and passes Rod Henson before the end of this race. But he can't do that if he's being impeded by Huang Nguyen. He's going to need to pass him first.
Don't think he's close enough again on this occasion. I think Nguyen, we know how quick he is down the straight, Nguyen, so it might be a case of Martins maybe needs to try and get him into the corners, perhaps, if he can't get him on the straights.
Henson, meanwhile, be gaining on Ben's Wallinger. I think the gap wasn't that big last time we checked.
We continue to ride on board with the Brazilian now. Then as he makes his way towards the Coca-Cola corner, you can see Nguyen going quite defensive. Is Martin?
Into 100R. He's gonna try the same thing he did on Kress.
Nguyen already spots that and covers the inside off, so Martin's not able to make the move through into there at the moment, so again, has to tuck back for the moment.
Hansen's gained the second on Men's Wallinger. Gap is now 5.5. She's gained quite a lot. It's now through 300R in towards Dunlop. Martins is going to think about it, but wise to it not to go for a suicidal move there.
Yeah, indeed, and we're all wondering who's got the fastest lap of the race.
Rico.
It's still Rico on this occasion? Yes, it is. Rico still has the fastest lap at the moment.
He's chasing after Alexander Arnold, I think. But we have to keep an eye on this battle. And once again, Martin's a little weak in Sector 3. He's not so close to Nguyen when it comes to corner exit of Panasonic.
Indeed, and we saw earlier that Nguyen's got that car set up quite nicely for the straight, although Martins does have a bit of slipstream, but it's not going to be close enough to go for a move. So, as mentioned earlier, it probably will have to come down to maybe a corner where he's going to have to get Nguyen, maybe where he passed Crest a little bit earlier on to get all the fifth, and that's at the 100R. But again, he looks a little bit too far back to challenge on this occasion.
And maybe he's thinking about taking it a little easier and focusing on tire management. Is he thinking of chasing after Hansen or not? That's a big question. If yes, then he's passing Nguyen as quick as he can. If not, he can just sit behind him, and as long as he's within 5 seconds, I'll be P4 his way.
Well, Farina on the inside of Dennis Graff, meanwhile, going into the first corner, but he's not close enough to go for the move, so he has to hang back for the moment. Clearly not set up the car well for the straight compared to Graff. Both Campos setting their car pretty well up for the straight, even though Graff seems to be struggling a little bit today in the corners.
Yeah, absolutely right. As Graff, under a lot of pressure from Farina, this battle is pretty much irrelevant, but nevertheless... Quintino, meanwhile, 6.7 second advantage to Benz Wallinger. Will he increase that? As we start lap 35.
Was 6.6 last time. I just look on the top left. It's still around 6.6, so it's roughly about the same, I would say.
But Hansen is 4.8. She's continuing to gain onto Benz Wallinger. Might have a shot to catch him before the end, but it's a little bit of a tall order.
And I do think that Martins is now starting to drop back now from Nguyen as a result. So maybe he's burnt his tires a little bit. I don't know.
Or maybe he's just realized there's no point passing him on track. He's got that position either way.
Indeed so. As now Farina right onto the back now then of Dennis Graff. As he's now going to try to look onto the inside. Has he got enough momentum to get hold of Graff this time by? Or will Graff's straight line speed come back into it? As I think it might in fact.
He's going to need to brake later. This is going to be a bit of an ask.
As they go into the first corner. Oh, I thought for a minute that there was going to be contact, but luckily Farina backed out of that. Although Graff's got very poor traction coming out of the first corner there.
We've seen that before, but very rarely has the car on the outside actually been able to pass there. And now Farina's made a mess of it in turn 2 and lost a lot of time to Coca-Cola corner.
Indeed.
4.3, Hansen has gained much more onto Wallinger. Hansen is the fastest car in the top 3 right now.
Meanwhile, Bavona and Alexander Arnold are keeping each other company at the moment, and I wonder, it looked like that Bavona pulled away.
You won MP2 in Formula E last season, eh?
Indeed, yes, of course, but I think Arnold was just basically praying for anything to happen last season to Bavona, given how strong Bavona was last season in Formula E, but here they are fighting for 7th and 8th.
And look who's coming further up behind, it's Gabriel Rico. Could he get both these guys by the race end, I wonder? And these guys are also chasing after Tobias Kress. If Rico can get past Kress before the end of this race and get his revenge, it would be poetic, because Kress is the man who put him in this situation in the first place. 3.8, meanwhile, Hansen's gained even more on Benz Wallinger.
So, who knows, maybe Hansen could spoil the Univirtuosi party by the end of it and ruin any chance of them trying to get a 1-2 finish today.
That could very well be the case, we'll have to wait and see. Alexander Arnold, he's been naughty today, he hasn't taken any damage, so he's in P8. Can he make that P7? No, in the chicane, he wasn't close enough to even think of a move. Now the question is, can he get Bavona before Bavona gets close enough to attack Kress? This will be his first big shot once we get to the main straight. Before we go, the double left-hander into Net's corner here. And yeah, 5 laps to go for our race leader Gabriel Quintino. As at the last corner we go. He's got great traction. He can get a decent run onto Bavona. And let's see if he can get him.
See now then, is they're going to go side by side. Does he have the straight line speed compared to Bavona? And I don't think he does enough, because look how much Bavona is getting away alongside there. So it seems that Arnold again...
He pulled out too early. He's going to have to send on the brakes.
Perhaps indeed, or maybe try and get him on traction out of this corner. Let's see. He's got better traction, but just not close enough to go for a move, as Bavona, I think, should have just going to hold on for the moment. Will Arnold maybe try and line up a move perhaps around the outside at 100R? Let's see.
He's made it work around the inside before. Can make it around the outside this time. No, sorry, he was overtaken there. Not that he made it. He's still trying to overtake him back then. But now, this is helping Gabriel gain a lot to these guys.
As Arnold's trying everything he can to get by on Bavona, I do think he pulled out a little bit too soon there to try and maybe go for maybe a bit of a pass down into the bus stop chicane there.
I think that move was never on, but look at this. Bavona is getting closer to Tobias Kress.
Meanwhile, Curtis on the back of Keoshani now then in the fight for 12th position. Thought about to move into the bus stop, but Keoshani was just ahead, and Curtis maybe wants to try and line up for a pass down on the pit straight.
Before we go.
Now we look to the rear of Bavona again, who's got Arnold all over the back, and even Rico is getting closer and closer to those two. Will Arnold try and get the move done this time on Bavona? Let's see, as he tries to look to the inside of the Italian now then as they come down the pit straight. And he's trying to get alongside, but again, here comes where the straight line speed of the Premier kicks in, really. He's clearly got that car set up perfectly for the straight, and Bavona, as a result, I think he's just going to stay in front again, and yes, he will. But let's see what it's like.
Martins is losing time to Nguyen, meanwhile, as here we go, the traction from Arnold. Has he got him? Yes.
Arnold has got the move done this time by, so that's P7 for the German, and let's see how quickly Rico can catch up to Bavona.
Yeah, and how quickly Arnold can catch up to Kress as well. China gets back past Curtis.
Curtis originally did get the move done, but Keoshani got him back on traction, so Curtis is going to have to try again if he wants P12 by the end of the race. Farina again still stuck behind Graf, and again Graf still able to stay in front thanks to straight on silver. They're on traction. Is Farina going to get him this time by? I think he might do, as they're going to go side by side.
Initially, but don't forget Graf has the inside. Is he going to back out of it? No, he's not. And Farina has to give up for the moment.
Meanwhile, I just saw that Suto is being caught down by Daniel here, so Dorebus could actually grab a point here today.
Yeah, he might have a shot after all. It'd be good, considering what happened to him earlier in the race when Arnold took him out. 3 laps to go.
As they now make their way through the next corner now then, and now up towards Panasonic they'll go, and Daniel will have a go as Farina again was trying to have a go at Graf into the bus stop there. Not going to work, but here comes Daniel on the back of Suto.
Yes, indeed. It's his first opportunity, and can he make it work?
See, as I don't think he's got the straight line speed in fact, because again it looks like Suto is going to stay in front going down onto the into the first corner there. So
he broke the slipstream far too early.
Can he get him on traction? Let's see how the turn 2 is. Meanwhile, Curtis again attacking Keoshani for P12, and he gets moved on again, but let's see what it's going to be like on traction. Daniel did have traction there on Suto, but Suto is going to stay in front again for the moment as these two go side by side, but I think this time Curtis has finally completed the move, and up into 12th he goes.
Yeah, next up is Farina versus Graf, round 1005. Same result.
Yeah. They've also got Jafari Blackwood getting on again.
Here goes Farina on next bit. No, it's the same as last lap. Graf has the inside line, and Farina is forced to back down.
As now look at Daniel, who's still trying to put Suto under pressure here.
I want to look at where Rico is in the relation to battle with Bavona and where Arnold is compared to Kress, because that could be interesting in the dying stages of this race. Right, there we have the answer.
Right on him now then, and we know how good the straight line speed is on Rico's car, so let's see what it's like compared to Bavona.
Should be quite substantial. He's gaining in that slipstream. He's pulling out of the slipstream, but I don't think it matters so much because he's gaining alongside. He's getting ahead of Agostino Bavona. He's gonna need to watch to make sure he gets in front of him on the brakes. Next target for him, if he has time, is Alexander Arnold and Tobias Kress. How poetic would it be to pass the man who put him in this dire situation?
He's through into 8th position. Bavona didn't get the traction, although he's trying to have a go into Coca-Cola curve. Not going to work. It's Daniel, look at the traction he's got on Suto. Has he got him this time by? Although they're going to still
go
remain
side by side. Does he have the confidence to go for it around the outside? No.
Well, Bavona still attacking Rico again, but Rico has the inside into hairpin there and holds on to P8, as I'm pretty sure Quintino will soon be starting the final lap of the race. Farina finally gets a move done on Graf as he locked up into the first corner, so P15 for Farina.
Forced the error, and now Blackwood will be trying to bounce.
And I think Quintino has just come onto the straight, so Quintino will start the final lap of the race here at Fuji.
Gress is also being hounded down by Arnold, so keep an eye on that in the battle for 6th.
As meanwhile, Martins looks like he's going to settle for, well, 5th on the road, but I think he is still close to the back of Nguyen. He is, but 1.4 seconds. So Martins will inherit 4th, which will mean as a result he would take the lead in the Drivers' Championship with 2 races to spare.
Yep, indeed, he will take that lead by just 1 solitary point, but 1 point can mean everything. Now here goes Alexander Arnold against Tobias Gress. The two guys who have been pretty naughty today, racing each other on the final lap, and Arnold gets the move done easily.
I see on traction.
Gress is going to try to fight back on traction here. Can he get him? No.
Oh, that was that really, and that's P6 for Alexander Arnold. As Daniel was up to 10th, I think he's got into the points. No, he hasn't. It looks like Suto's got him back on track.
Spoken too soon.
I thought he did get it done there, but it looks like Suto's got him back. As meanwhile,
now here goes Blackwood against Graf. Look at the straight line speed he's got.
Meanwhile, I'm just looking on the mini-map. I think Quintino is not far away from the final corner, as Blackwood has got 16th.
Have to jump to Quintino, and he inherited the lead when Alexander Arnold collided with Benz Waldinger, but then he held that lead, extended it, and well, he's taking a brilliant win here. Gabriel Quintino did what he needed to do, and he wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Benz Waldinger is going to hold off Rose Hansen. He's going to hold her off, and he will be so angry at Alexander Arnold for that, because he's cost him the win. Jonathan Martins takes P4 because of Juan Nguyen's penalty. Alexander Arnold will be P6. He is more than 5 seconds behind Nguyen. Tobias Gress 7th. Gabriel Rico P8. What could have been? This man could have won today's race, but he's gonna have to sell for A. He was brilliant today, Gabriel Rico. Suto finishes 11th, just about holds off Darabosh. Curtis is P12. Chao Chan at 13th, unlucky day for him. Even though he fought very well, Oskan, lonely, solitary 14th. He passed Farina and Blackwood, unseen by the cameras. Farina will take 15th, Blackwood 16th, and Graf will be 17th.
And I think there'll be one more car after that, who I think is in 18th position, and that will be
Sinonome. And there's Chobot as well.
And Chobot will cross the line in 19th position. Of course, we will have the voter track revealed to you after the national anthems. Of course, I think Flo will show it. Will send it to us during the national anthem. So just be aware of that. So don't bother trying to ask us at this point, because we've got no clue at the moment.
Yep. Meanwhile, Rahul says the gap in the team should be 27 points between High Tech and Unai Virtuosi, because Virtuosi have gained big points today. Gabriel Quintino, he did not overtake Benz Waldinger in the most traditional way. He overtook Benz Waldinger while his skull was spun round. But that had nothing to do. Quintino had nothing to do with any of that. He didn't hire a hitman to get Waldinger to spin round. Alexander Arnold decided the winner today. But Gabriel Quintino is still a very well-deserving race winner, and he's done it. It's a Unai Virtuosi 1-2, though not in the order Benz Waldinger would have liked. Gabriel Quintino has taken the race win. Benz Waldinger 2nd, Rose Hansen 3rd, Juan Nguyen on the road P4, but his 5-second penalty for overtaking his teammate Angelica Bivona under yellow flag means that Jonatas Martins is actually P4. Juan Nguyen is P5 still. A very, very solid drive, even with that penalty. Alexander Arnold, very naughty today. P6, gets away with that. Tobias Gress, naughty a little bit as well to get P7. And Gabriel Rico, what a shame. What a shame. This guy had incredible pace. He could have won this race. I swear, he could have won this race. His pace was so amazing. But unfortunately, because of Tobias Gress, he punting him off the road, he still had an incredible recovery to finish P8. Rico Mike, kudos to you. What an incredible drive you had today, but only P8. Agatino Bevona, P9, and just first to top P10. Daniel Darabosh, P11, misses out on the points, only just. And you can do the second half.
Aaron Curtis finished in 12th position today. Von Chanak Kirshani P13. Samuel Oskin, he loses the lead in the championship now. He's 14th. And if you didn't really catch what Rob said earlier about the gap between High Tech and Uni Virtuosi, of course, it is actually 37 points, not 27. But still, if you didn't really catch that, High Tech have not won the team's championship. It will continue on for another race. 15th place, didn't quite catch that. 15th place was Luca Farina, Javari Blackwood P16, Dennis Graff 17th, Hento Sinanome in 18th, with Alan Chobot, the last of the finishers, in 19th, with Ruslan Protsu, Blake Moore, and Henry Watzel, the three drivers who retired from the race. Of course, Moore and Watzel getting taken out on the first lap. The fastest lap of the race, meanwhile,
the man who deserved it the most, Gabriel Rico.
So, along with the 4 points he gets for 8th place, he'll get the 2 bonus points for the fastest lap of the race. So 6 points going away for Rico, but it should have really been a lot more.
Predictions on what the voted track is going to be. My prediction is something people have voted for many times before. I'm not gonna say it because I could be right, but it's time. But in the honor of the race winner, it will be time for the Brazilian national anthem. While Flo will tell us in the Discord chat, you guys get to enjoy. All right, thank you guys. Now, before we reveal the voted track, we need to ask the question: who is your driver of the day for today? Joe, Flo? I'm going to go with Gabriel Rico because he had the potential to do so much and taken away from him for no fault of his own, but he still did a respectable recovery.
I'm going to go the complete opposite. Obviously, I do think Rico would have won, but obviously it didn't end up. I'm going to go with Johannes Martins, given where he started on the grid. Started in 16th, finished, well, in the end, on the technicality in P4, which has given them the lead in the championship. So for me, Martins is the driver of the day.
All right, Flo. He also did some incredible overtakes, so that you have to add that to Martins. So yeah, fair point, Joe. I completely understand. It's just Rico, my personal opinion. But Flo, what do you think?
Well, for me, I think it's Martins as well. I know that Rico was really fast today, but I think Martins topped it a little bit more than him.
All right, so I appear to have been outvoted. Now, thought that this everybody thought it would be the same it was last season and 2 seasons ago. Everybody thought it was going to be Laguna Seca, wasn't you? Or didn't you? Everybody thought it was going to be Laguna Seca. It's not going to be Canada. It's not going to be Laguna Seca, but it is going to be something you know and something you love because we and are going back to a place that Feng Chao China of all people probably remember most fondly. Yes, that's right. That's right. The second to last race of the 2021 Formula 2 GP4 OC Championship will be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're going back to Indy after all this time. Indy is the venue, and this is gonna be epic.
Yep, I can't
What are
wait for
your
that.
thoughts,
Obviously,
Joe?
looking forward to it. Obviously, World Champ Car had a race there earlier this season, and it was a pretty good first ever race for Champ Car. Of course, GP2 has raced at Indianapolis before. I'm trying to remember the last time the feeder series did. I think it was was it 2018 or 17, something like that?
It was when Rodrigo Gomez won the title. I know that much.
That would be 2016 then. So that would be quite a long time if that's the case. So I'll quickly double check that before we go off the air. So let me quickly have a look and see.
Yeah, it'll be the last time. Yeah, we'll be racing there for the first time since 20. But it had Fuji and Indy too. Oh my gosh. Flo, I want to ask you something, please. Release the full voting results now that we know all the voted tracks, please. Please and thank you. Release the full voting results. What number of votes each track get? I just want to see the results, and now that everything is out, now that the cat's out of the bag. Bruno, Fuji, Indianapolis. You guys voted for some nice tracks.
Yeah. So yeah, I will point out as well, you were correct. It was 2016 the last time Indianapolis hosted a feeder series race. And if I remember in that race, it was where Jared Fosbury got the lead on the final lap of the race. So,
yep, indeed.
Could we look at a repeat this season? I mean, obviously, Juventus Martins may have a slim chance to win the title there, depending on what happens in qualifying. And of course, Hitech will have a chance to win the team's title. But it's... but I think we're looking at possibly another finale with that title. But maybe we could be in for another good race at Indy. We'll see.
Flo, am I allowed to reveal the votes? Because I would like to reveal the votes. So I'm going to start from the tracks with one vote and go all the way up. So votes: Adelaide 1, Dunnington 1, Estoril 1, Kyalami 1, LaSalle 1, Mategi 1, Paw 1, Watkins Glen 1, Zandvoort 1, Aragon 2, Bud 2, Dubai 2, Istanbul 2, Manikur 2. Thank God it wasn't Manikur. Alton Park 2, Imola 3, Nürburgring 3, and then we had a four-way tie between Laguna Seca, Jerez, and Brno with 4. Brno got chosen. And Mugello as well, four-way tie. Mugello, Laguna Seca, Jerez, and Brno, each with 4 votes. Then Fuji with 5, and Indianapolis with 6 votes. So Indianapolis, Fuji, and Brno were your voted tracks. That is what you have to feel decided. And that was a very entertaining race, Joe. What do you think?
Yeah, very entertaining race here in Fuji, and in the end, a brand new championship leader out of all of it, as Martins is really making a name for himself towards the end of this season. Could he potentially win the championship? That will be something to keep an eye on.
Don't forget, Benz Wallinger is back in the title fight as well. And as for Jafari Blackwood, he's only lost 1 point to the leader, because Martins is taken lead by 1 point, and Oskan didn't score any points, there did Blackwood. Yep. So we definitely have our fight on our hands in these last 2 races. With the results of this, I think Aaron Curtis can no longer defend his crown. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is the case.
We'll double check that later on. But of course, for anybody wondering, the race at Indianapolis will take place in 2 weeks' time during the top class Bahrain Grand Prix. So obviously back-to-back races for the last 2 races. So the week of the Bahrain GP is Indianapolis, and the week after that is the finale in Brazil. So 2 weeks of solid action, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Thank you very much, Joe, for tuning in, for doing this with me. It was a lot of commentary we've done together over the past 2 days. And yeah, thank you very much. I am exhausted. I need to rest. So yeah, I think you guys need to rest as well. But I hope you enjoyed the show we provided for you today. Thank you very much for hosting, because you are the biggest factor in all of this, of course. And yeah, we will see you again for the next one. Don't forget, tomorrow 56 laps United States Grand Prix. Go on and watch it, because if you don't, you're gonna miss out on a classic. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you again later. Bye bye. Sayonara.
Bye.